Hi, I'm Adriana Barlik. Welcome to my channel. This channel has been in the making for quite a long time for me. I have discovered a spiritual side to myself like a few years back, and I wanted to share some of my ponderings, some of my thoughts about some of the issues that people come by when they think of spiritual awakening and stuff related to spirituality. This is not a channel about religion, this is not a channel about God, this is just a channel of a personal journey that you are undertaking, and where maybe some of the things that I will be telling you will help you to think about things differently. One day I was with a very good friend of mine, and she told me that she does not understand what spiritual awakening is. The problem is that this phrase has become a catch-all for so many things, and there are so many different views on what it really is, what it contains, and where does spiritual awakening lead you. So I wanted to start the first video with what is spiritual awakening for me and how I would suggest you to approach it. I found one definition that works really well for me, and that I think is a good starting point. The spiritual awakening is the altered state of perception, and that is a very good definition because it invites you to a journey. And spiritual awakening is not so much a goal that you are achieving, it is a journey where you are discovering yourself. We can start with that definition and try to expand it to get you to a detailed understanding. There are some questions that you need to ask yourself and that you need to make clear to yourself when you talk about spiritual awakening. First question is that you need to start understanding that living and just being alive are two different things. So if you are not spiritually awakened, if you are not awoke, as they say, then you will not really have the ability to appreciate what living is. We all know those two states. We all know what is living and what is just being alive. When you're living, you are breathing fully, you are so happy, you are so excited, you think that you can change the world, and then when you're just being alive, then you feel like okay, so life is okay, but I don't know, sometimes it just all feels so stupid, and just so many things are getting to me, and I'm just not enjoying myself. All of this has to do with your understanding that now is all that you have. You don't have the past, you don't have the future. And when you have the future, it will just be your now. When you had your past, it was just your now. So basically, you need to understand that you can always be living. There is no magical moment when you will be spiritually awakened, and then everything will just fall into place. You just need to understand that you can always be living. And it all depends on you. It is all about your inner perception. It is all about your inner understanding. The second point that is very important to think about, you can meditate on those points. You can, think about those points in a way as being just like some general themes that are inviting you to the process of spiritually awakening. That point is a little bit tricky. We have to think, are we mortal, or is there something that will survive our physical death? Body and soul, is there a soul? Basically, in the end, if we go with the assumption that we are nothing more than this body, than this brain that is really like very mishy-mashy and not very like permanent, basically then we are nothing more than a biological waste. And I believe that almost all of us can feel it in our bones that we are not just some future biological waste, but something more, and that everything around us is something more, even animals. There is a spirit that is definitely um, somewhere out there. Um, the main point is that if you believe that you are mortal, then you will be afraid of dying. And if you don't, then most probably your entire view will change. So basically, you can say that until you believe that you are immortal, death has a grip on you. And when you start believing that you are immortal, then the world will just open for you. And in the end, it doesn't really matter if we are mortal or immortal. It is just this perception that you don't need to be afraid of dying. But science and religion are coming closer and closer over time, and there are many questions that were in the past being asked only by some like mumbo jumbo people. But now, Elon Musk goes, and he tells everybody that he thinks that we are living in a simulation by a large percentage of probability. So we can say that this mortal, immortal, what is the bigger reality question is a very, very interesting question for us. The third very important theme that you can meditate on is the meaning of the Clarke's first law, that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. What does it really mean? Think about God and how we are viewing God. It's like some almighty, all-powerful being, because we have to, give it a human form. And it is, something that is so advanced, Might it be they're just technologically advanced? Might it be that there are some aliens, that we see as gods, It might be, we have no idea. But in order to understand that you are a little bit more than you think you are, and in order to have a very happy life, you really need to think about those things. And the fourth point that I see is the evolution. Evolution is the changing characteristics of a species over several generations, and relies on the process of natural selection, as Darwin said. And the point is that evolution does not necessarily remove the concept of God, in my view. It might, but it might not. And if you think about us and about life, death, and all those questions, couldn't it be that our souls are just evolving here? That we are, some eternal beings that have come here to have this experience of life, to have this different experience, and to see how hard it is to be in this physical body, this like very dense, like three-dimensional body that is just like roaming around, and having, billions of years to advance. Spiritual awakening. If you look at those two words, so spiritual will imply that there is a spirit. There is a spirit in us, there is a spirit around us, and the awakening will imply that we have all been asleep, which might be the truest thing that anyone has ever said to you. Because, believing that you are less, believing that the world is not abundant, believing that there is not enough for everyone, it is the mindset of scarcity, the mindset of fear. And basically there are just two basic emotions. There is love and there is fear. And spiritual awakening is definitely the process of evolution in your state of mind. It is the realization that you are more than your body or brain or any of the things that your ego notices as so dear. And whenever you start with fear, whenever you start from the position of being afraid of something, when you have some situation where you want to tell to somebody that you have feelings for them, if you don't tell them, you're coming from the position of fear. If you come from the position of love, it might change things around. When somebody is afraid to do some life changes that need to be done in order for you to fulfill your potential. I don't know, you don't want to move, you want to stay at the same job even though you're very unhappy with that job. It will just be the situation where you will be just wasting your life, and all out of fear. You need to embrace the change. You need to embrace the fact that life, limited as it might be, it might be that we are not eternal beings that are here to have this life experience. It might be, I don't know, I have no idea, and you have no idea. But if you think that this life is limited, then even more there is so much sense and so much joy that can be brought to you by enjoying every moment of your life. There is never a bad time to start loving people in your life. There is never a bad time to start loving yourself, and that is one of the most important lessons that spiritual awakening might give you. When you wake up, be happy that you're alive. Remember that you love yourself. Remember that you are a worthy being, a lovable being that deserves all the best in life, and start your life as you always wanted it. Most of the times we are the ones preventing ourselves from living life fully, and I hope that this spiritual awakening theme will help you to bring more joy and more happiness into your life. Thank you so much.